And welcome to the Lakers Pulse podcast. I'm your host, Merge, and I'm here with Nelson. What's going on, Nelson?
We're doing good. Ingram dominated, so I'm happy.
Yeah. So, as probably all of you know, Lakers had their first summer league game yesterday. They played the Clippers. They lost by 3 points in overtime. It was a very interesting game to say the least. There was a lot of good takeaways, a lot of bad takeaways from it, and a lot of just things that really sit on and think about. So the top scorer for the Lakers was Brandon Ingram with 26. He also added on, I believe, 3 boards and like 3 assists
Hmm.
with 3 blocks and 2 steals.
Yeah,
Like he had a great, really great all around game. I think defensively he was the most impressive to me. But I wanted to start off with talking about Brandon and in his only summer league game. If you guys didn't know that he is going to be out for the rest of the summer league. He could play. It's a cramp.
yeah.
He could play, but Magic is being very cautious. The team's being very cautious. I personally think he should just play, but cramp. It's not like a cramp is a thing that gets worse, but I mean it does. But it's not like something you're gonna have a cramp for 2 weeks or
Right,
strain or cramp or whatever, right? So
right.
I think he should have played, but it's kind of disappointing not being able to see him against Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, but
Hmm.
it is what it is. But yeah, he was very impressive. Nelson, what was your main takeaway from Brandon yesterday?
Just that he looked more comfortable, more confident. He showed much. He showed a nice little spin move and a nice up and under finish. Just early in the game, he showed that he can use and will use his isolation skills that he had at Duke. That was kind of the thing that he missed a lot of last year. Last year was a lot of basic turnarounds, but in just this one summer league game, he showed much more advanced moves, which is important for him, especially if his jump shot isn't there all the time. That he can score when they give him the ball, and they ran a lot of isolations from him early, and you can see that he felt much more comfortable than he did last year. Lonzo didn't really force the issue, so that kind of just allowed Ingram to just dominate the ball, and he did some pretty good things. He had a couple bad turnovers. That probably only be the only thing that was negative about his performance. But yeah, I mean, the strong showing, really impressive. Showed that he didn't belong, and I think that Magic made the right choice in not allowing him to play because he just doesn't belong. I mean, I guess you want the game time experience and all that kind of stuff, but these games are all meaningless. And Ingram had a slight injury, so you don't want to risk it. There's literally no reason to push him, so it's
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. I do want to say with the turnovers you said, he was up against a pretty good defender and Thornwell, Incendiarius Thornwell, and he stripped him a couple times, but you know it was against a good defender, so I don't really blame him. I mean, it's not like Thornwell's like Kawhi, but
Right.
um, but I think there was a lot of little things with Brandon that really impressed me. I mean, you could tell he was really trying on defense yesterday. He was
Yeah.
he's super vocal. He was talking to everybody. He had a lot of deflections. He had a lot of I think he had a couple weak side blocks. He had that chase down block on who did he chase down? Was it Thornwell? He
Yeah.
blocked on a fast break. He chased down and he was the reason why that fast break started. He turned the ball over, so it was good to see him hustling down the court. Probably my favorite play. I don't know. Well, one of my favorite plays from him was when he was on the fast break and Thomas Bryant was running with him, and he had his no lick pass to
Right.
Bryant for the dunk. And then there was the play at the very end of the fourth quarter where he broke Thornwell down. Like
Right.
that crossover was ridiculous, and just uses his long ass arms to score on the rim. Um, yeah, I kind of went down a little bit on Ingram. When the season went on, I was so high on him, but I wasn't as high as I started. But after watching this game, I know it's a summer league game, but he just seemed like a different guy.
Yeah.
In the interviews, he seems like a different guy. His mindset's different. He's more of a leader now, I think. So I think I'm fully back on the Brandon train. I think he's going to be a future star. So Ingram's not playing anymore. It was really nice to see him do really well. But the man of the match, for better or for worse, was Lonzo Ball. He had a very, very interesting debut. There's a lot of negatives, there's a lot of positives to take away from it. So he ended the game with 5 points, 4 boards, and 5 assists with 3 turnovers, and he shot 1 from 11 from the 3-point line, 2 for 15 overall. So starting with the negatives, Nelson, what was there anything you saw from Lonzo during this game that worried you?
Not anything that worried me per se on offense, but on defense, the point of attack defense and the pick and roll defense was really bad.
Yeah.
Like Lonzo couldn't stay in front of Kendall Marshall, which is an issue. And he got beat by Juwan Evans when
Juwan destroyed him on one drive.
Yeah. And I mean that was gonna happen. That was his weakness in college. Man-to-man defense, he's gonna get exposed in that, and that's gonna happen again today, probably against Demetrius Jackson. You know, like that just happens. Lonzo just doesn't have the lateral quickness to stay in front of players, which you know, I mean, point guard defense isn't the most valuable thing in the world, but you know, you still want to see some other kind of things. And on offense, he really couldn't shoot for crap. He really struggled, and that's why the team lost, honestly, because if he makes more shots, you know, the Lakers play better. But yeah, I mean, like, he showed some impressive things on the pick and roll, but he just really wasn't aggressive enough. Like, there were some dribble drive attempts and some layups that he could have shot, and then he just, like, was too passive for me. You know, there's the passiveness is what makes him special because he can really find players and he can really poke and prod and make defenses react. But you also need to be aggressive so defenses can stay honest to you, and they're not just oh, like he's gonna pass, Like Kendall Marshall was playing him in pick and roll to pass, and Lonzo still didn't really shoot it. And Kendall Marshall was going under screens, and Lonzo didn't really pull up, which is understandable. I mean, he didn't really feel a shot. It was his first game as a Laker. He's a rookie, so he's not really used to like playing this atmosphere. I'm sure that was pretty rough. So, I mean, there are reasons for why he struggled, but to say that he didn't struggle is honestly a lie. But he did show some promising things, like his pick and roll operation was better than I expected. He made some outstanding reads, which is what you would expect from Lonzo.
Yeah, especially that pass, that lob to Brandon at the very beginning of the game.
Yeah, that was a nice read. And there was also this read where he kicked it out to Vander Blue in the corner, and he knew exactly how the defense was going to react. He knew that this guy was going to help here, this guy was going to help there, and that there's going to be a guy wide open. And these are the kind of special plays that you see from Lonzo, like how he plays like five or 3 steps ahead, which is really crazy. To see that actually in person and see that in the NBA is pretty impressive. But I mean, like he had his good moments. Like transition, he really showed that he can really change the game on that aspect. Like it's really pushed. They pushed. They got some easy offense off of that. They had some turnovers, but still, it was mostly positives on that end, and it really created easy offense for everyone else. And I think that just adding that to this team is going to be awesome, just because it's going to make them fun, more watchable, and it's going to create easier offense. So I mean, like he showed he pretty much was what I expected. I mean, like on defense, when he was guarding post ups, he did pretty well because he's pretty tall. And he was able to get into passing lane some. So his instincts are still there, his quick hands are there. But yeah, I mean, there certainly are some issues that are highlighted, and he's not going to save the Lakers day one. So.
Yeah, the shooting was definitely an issue. I think that's going to come eventually, but it's not going to. I just don't want him to just like launch a bunch. Like there was times where he just like chucked it, and it was really just him settling. Sometimes I really just want him to at least go for layups. Because he doesn't have a floater game or a mid range game yet. He needs to just attack and try to draw fouls. I mean, if the shot's not falling, he needs to do something like that. And while I like the drive and kick aspect of his game a lot, I don't like when he's passing up a wide open layup for an open 3-point shot. I mean, I know it's like it's kind of like three's better than two type of thing. But if it's there, I think he should just score it. I mean, with the team Lakers have, they really don't have a lot of floor spacers. That's sadly why Travis Ware had to start. There's probably different reasons, but he's the best big man shooter, right? I think Kuzma could get there eventually, but he's not there right now. Josh Hart's decent, but he had a bad game yesterday. Nuwaba's not a shooter.
Yeah.
Caruso's decent, but he didn't really play with Lonzo much. Ingram's gone now. Dozier's not a shooter. Who's probably a guy that's gonna be playing for more minutes now. Thomas Bryant had the one jump shot, which I got really excited when he made. Then Zubac was really, really bad. I want Lonzo just in the summer league. When it gets to the regular season, it's gonna be a different story. Just because Ingram's gonna be there, Brooks gonna be there. Hopefully, Julius has a shot at that point. It's gonna be different, especially with Ingram and Randall being ball handlers around him too. But I think a thing that kind of contributed to his bad game was defensively, at least, is pairing him with Vanderbilt, who's a bad defender, and Travis Ware, who is a god-awful defender.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of times where they put him in a pick and roll, and then and then Travis Ware had to switch on the guy, or the ball handler, right? And he just got roasted by Kendall Marshall, by Sandarius Thornwell, by Juwan Evans, or, they just give the ball to Bryce Johnson, and Bryce Johnson who absolutely just annihilate him. I really, really hope Bushler starts Hart, Nwaba, and Kuzma today. I doubt it's going to happen, but I really hope it does, because Blue and Ware they don't help Lonzo out a lot, except for Travis Ware's ability to shoot. Even though he was 2 for 6 in the game, he missed a lot of open threes. But
I think we might actually see Bryant at the power forward spot.
Really?
Just because he played really well, and I think maybe they just want to see him and see if he can play some 4. I think just out of curiosity.
I would not like that at all.
Oh no, I wouldn't be a fan of it either. But if you think about it, he brings spacing that Ware brings, but he brings more energy, and he's just a better player.
We'll talk about Bryant a lot more in a little bit. I think I said this to you before we started this. My favorite part about Lonzo's game was him just pushing the ball. There was the one play that sticks out to me is when I don't know if he had the board, if Thomas Bryant got the board and he dumped it to Lonzo, but he was dribbling down the court and he just everyone's looking at Lonzo, so he just launches a pass to Vanderbilt, who's near the paint, and Vander gets it and gets an easy bucket. I mean, that stuff doesn't happen that often, I mean, you don't see that a lot in the NBA. I mean, I'm trying to think the only team that would really play like that. I mean, not even the Warriors, because the Warriors don't really run a lot. They're more of a team that runs their plays and does their sets. Lonzo catching those people off guard is the best part. One of the best parts of his game is just catching defenders off guard and getting guys easy buckets. And if he can affect like this, I think if Jordan Clarkson has to start this season and Lonzo is really that good of a playmaker, I think Jordan can put up 18 to 20 a game. And he's going to give back a lot on the defensive end, but Lonzo will set him up a lot, and it was just fun to see this the pace just get jumped up by Lonzo and him just launching these long ass passes and that were on target too. I mean, it was really fun to see stuff like that. Obviously, the defense is a concern. Obviously, him shooting 1 for 11 is not great. I need to see him drive more. I need to see him attack the rim more, especially now with no Ingram. I'm really hoping no Ingram kind of kicks him in the butt and makes him be aggressive. Unless I don't know who's going to score for Lakers if it's the same lineup plus Nwaba.
Yeah, I mean, like Lonzo's going to take a much more bigger creation burden, and it's going to get more usage. So we'll see how he handles that kind of role. And he's probably going to be guarded by Jaylen Brown, just because I don't think Jaylen Brown's going to waste time guarding Vanderbilt or guarding Nwaba or guarding whoever else plays the wing. I think
Blue.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that he's probably going to focus on Lonzo, and it's going to be interesting to see at least how well Lonzo does against a really good defender,
Hmm.
and how he does just creating in general, using pick and rolls and all that kind of stuff in a much more common sense. Since the offense is going to be run through him, just because there's no one really else to run it through. I mean, unless you want to run it through Zubats, but I mean, like that's not ideal. You know?
Right, right. Yeah. So it is pretty ridiculous to see the overreactions or the overreactions from one side and the stands on the other side
Right.
on Twitter today. There's been a lot of people going to both sides of the extreme. It was the first summer league game. I mean, Ingram, he didn't really suck in the first summer league game, but he wasn't great. And then he had that Sixers game, right? I mean,
Right.
Karl Anthony Towns sucked in the summer. He didn't suck, but he wasn't great in the summer league. And Jahlil Okafor was awesome in the summer league. You can't base everything on summer league. I mean, Chris Dunn, Manuel Mudiay were great in the summer league.
Right.
It's just I'm looking for little things that I know he can bring into the NBA, and there's stuff that worries me, but I'm not going to go out and say, oh, well, he's not a savior anymore, or he's not going to be a great player anymore. I'm not going to do that, and I don't want to be like the D'Angelo people, the D'Angelo haters of the last couple of years, and I don't want to just blindly hate on the guy.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
This isn't really gonna change your opinion, or it should really change your opinion. Like, if you thought Lonzo was gonna be a transition god, that's gonna shoot it really well, and that's gonna get his shot off, and he's gonna be able to run some pick and rolls, and you think that he's gonna play good defense on switches, and
That's your fault if you think he's gonna be that.
yeah, I mean, like if you think that he's gonna be bad, then this game just makes you feel good about that. If you think that he's going to be good, the transition offense makes you feel good about that. So I mean, like, you just gotta not base your opinions off one game and just use it as an evaluation tool, but not use it as a main purpose as an evaluation tool. I mean, like, he's still a rookie, right? So he's still a rookie. So
It's literally his first professional basketball game.
Yeah, and he hasn't played since March, so we really need to slow it down.
Yeah, and I kind of agreed with what LeVar said after the game. He said that it was Lonzo's worst game, but he's instilling a culture, and he's instilling a pass first type of culture. And I don't agree with LeVar on a lot of things, but I definitely agree with what he says there. And I think that's the biggest thing that Lonzo's doing right now, at least on a positive end, is that he's instilling a pass culture, and you can see it is infectious.
Right? Yeah.
You saw that in the first quarter when there was the lob to Ingram, and then the pass to Ingram, and then Ingram touch pass to Zubac, stuff like that. It's definitely infectious. So I really hope he can just do that tonight and be more aggressive and be able to knock his shots down. So moving on to the guy after Ingram, the guy a lot of Laker fans were most excited during the game. My boy Thomas Bryant from Indiana, our 41st pick. So he kind of came out of nowhere for Laker fans. He put up 13 points, 5 boards, and he had 2 blocks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't play in the fourth quarter. He played in the first 3 quarters, but he was just an energizer bunny. That dude was so much fun to watch. So what were your impressions of Thomas in this first game?
Yeah, so I mean, like, I bought some stock. Some Thomas Bryant stock, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty interested to see what he does here.
Yeah.
And I think that just for this one game, and especially if he keeps it up, or at least to like around this level, that he's certainly a lock to get a 2-way contract. And that he's going to get signed right after summer league ends, just because he provides energy, and he's he has good hands, finishes well around the rim, catches the boards. He moves better than I expected. Not great either. His pick and roll defense wasn't as good or as improved as I thought it was going to be, but it still improved. And he still looks better, and he still moves better. He made a 3-point shot, and I was really hyped for that. I was like, yeah, stretch it. So I'm pretty excited for what he has to offer. I mean, like, especially that moment where he was hustling, and like I think he got a foul call. But he was just like yelling, and just yelling to the crowd and got the crowd hyped. Like,
that was so awesome. I loved that.
Like, we don't really see that from Lakers players. Like, Larry Nance will sometimes, like, pump up the crowd or something like that. But like this guy was literally excited and hyped, and the whole crowd just was like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's summer league, but still, he's sort of becoming that Zubats darling. Then
Oh yeah,
I
he's
think he's gonna become a fan favorite. Yeah,
Andrew
he,
level.
he'll definitely become a fan favorite just because of his energy and his personality. He's
Yeah,
like a real cool dude. But yeah, I mean, like he can stretch it to the 3-point line right now, and that's incredibly valuable. And he can also catch balls on pick and rolls,
mm-hmm.
set good screens. And I just think that I think that he showed more than even I hoped for. I was hoping for like maybe like a block and like a dunk, but he gave me much more than that. He gave me a 3-point shot, which is awesome. And I'm buying all the Thomas Bryant stock after one game. I know that we should have hot takes, but I'm buying all the stock.
Yeah, Zubac Fairwatch is back. We'll talk about Zubac a little bit later, but this guy might push Zubac for some minutes.
Yeah.
He might end up getting like the contract Dwayne Bacon got, like that 3-year, third-year guarantee type thing. If he plays like this every game, I mean, or something close to this every game, I can definitely see him getting not a 2-way contract, like not just a 2-way contract, like a 2-year guaranteed contract. Like he's gonna be like the 13th man on the roster type thing.
Right.
I can definitely see that happening. We'll probably talk about him a tiny bit more when we talk about Zubac, but when Thomas came in, you immediately felt everyone was energized.
Yeah.
And he just has that like this personality about him, and like he's like a little kid. It's weird. It's like he's like this little kid who is really, really big and good at basketball, but and every time he does anything good, he just has like the best facial reactions and the best celebrations. And there's that hustle play that you brought up, and he was just hyping everybody up, and it was a lot of fun to see him do that. I think the hope for me defensively for him is that he can maybe improve like Tariq Black did. And Tariq Black, his first year, he was an okay defender, but he wasn't like good.
World on fire. Yeah.
He wasn't lighting the world on fire, and he wasn't like able to handle switches. But like over the next couple years, this last year, he was like really, really good on switches, and he was like, I remember hearing some stat that he was like, analytics wise, he was like a top 10 defender in the after the All-Star break, and like a top 20 defender the whole season. And his ability to switch on the guards, I'm hoping Thomas will be able to like slim down a little more, and he'll able to just like keep, because his feet aren't bad, and I think he has the ability to run with. Like he's not like Zubac, and he's not stuck in like quicksand. He's able to move around, and if he can sort of develop like Thomas, like Tariq did defensively, and he has that offensive potential, then you're looking at maybe a starter.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put that expectation on him right now, but we got to remember he's only 2 months older than Lonzo. Yeah. He isn't even 20 yet. He'll turn 20 around the same time Ingram turns 20, I think. So it's really fun, and I think Ingram already had like a little thing going with him. There's a lot of times where Ingram drove and dumped off to Thomas during the game.
Some of those were turnovers, just bad passes, but like a lot of them, like Ingram hit him on the money, and then Thomas was able to draw a foul. I definitely want to see him, improve his touch. I think he has like solid touch, but I think he should improve it to maybe good touch, just to make himself more of a pick and roll threat. But I mean, like, I want to see him get if you want to post touches, see what he does there, see how skilled he is there. But I'm definitely all in on Thomas Bryant. I think that he looks like a steal right now.
Yeah, I definitely agree. All right, so moving on, let's talk about our 27th pick, Kyle Kuzma from Utah. I was actually impressed. Well, we were all low on the pick in general. We didn't really like the pick for the Lakers, especially with Randall and Larry. But he exceeded my expectations. He didn't have a great first quarter, but his second and third quarters, he was really active on the defensive end, and he was able to switch on guards, and he was able to move his feet really well. The passing is real. he's able to make some good reads. He was a decent rebounder. He made 1 3-pointer, which was really nice to see. I want to see him shoot a little bit more, and I want to see less of the pull up jumpers that he did a couple times. He had that one steal that he got, and he took it coast to coast and was able to dunk it, which was nice to see as well. So I really hope he plays more with Lonzo, because I think having the athleticism added on to the kind of a threat of a shooter is a lot better than just Travis Ware as a shooter, and you also get the added defensive upside with Kuzma. So I really hope that we can get some Kuzma with Lonzo, maybe even Thomas Bryant, which would be fun to see. But he definitely exceeded my expectations. He was better than I was expecting. There's still a question of when is he going to get playing time, but we'll worry about that during the preseason. So what were your impressions of Kyle?
Oh, I thought he was all right. He wasn't anything that lit the world on fire, but he showed me why at least the Lakers thought about drafting him, because he was able to switch and he handled the script pretty well. He moves his feet sort of like a three, so that was kind of impressive.
Yeah,
his passing was pretty good. Wasn't anything insane, but he showed that he can keep the ball moving, so that's good.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, he showed switch ability. He showed pretty solid playmaking at the 4, and he showed the ability to hit a 3, which is impressive. But he shot 2 threes, and they both look good in my opinion. The form looks good and all that, so he should be able to stretch it out in the NBA. My only issue, and I know that we talked about this a lot when he was drafted, it's like Larry Nance was talking a lot about how he was going to add a 3-point shot to the game. So isn't that a lot of what Kuzma is? Just a floor spacer that can switch onto guards and move feet pretty well, and also move the ball. And Larry Nance moves the ball as well. So that's kind of redundant there. And but I kind of like Kuzma. I think that he provides some sort of value. He was sort of inconsistent, kind of like what the scouting report says on him. He had some moments where, like, you didn't really know he was on the court, and he was just like standing there. And I mean, although that's kind of more of a system of kind of the Lakers ran some isolation down the stretch with Ingram and Ball, just trying to try to score somehow. But he wasn't all that involved the whole game, and you'd like to see him, since he's projected as an energy big. You'd like to see him provide more energy. But I mean, like, he certainly was not bad, and the pick makes some sense now. Although you're still wondering who's going to get traded at the power forward position.
Yeah, I still would rather have Derek White or Juwan Evans or Wesley Wundu at that point, just because we need a ball handler really bad now. And imagining, like, if we had one of them and Ingram doesn't play, at least you can still say, hey, we still have Derek White. We'll start him, and he'll be able to initiate offense. But it's still kind of redundant. I do see some Larry and Kuzma 4-5s, or I guess flipped around. I definitely think that could be a thing. In certain spurts during the season. But, then there's still Zubats and Thomas Bryant. But I was definitely wasn't disappointed in him. He exceeded what I was expecting him to do. So we'll see if he gets more involved. I think he might have an easier time this game, just because Zizic is a really bad defense. Well, is Zizic supposed to be good defensively or offensively?
Offensively.
Okay, yeah. So, and I don't even know who the backup bigs are. I think hopefully Kuzma will have an easier time getting involved in this game. And also to attest to what you were saying, that he had some moments where he didn't look, he was lost. There was that moment where at the end of the third quarter where he jumped on us and Darius Storm with a pump fake.
Yeah.
And a 3-pointer to, like, it was a bailout type thing. You that's like basketball 101. You can't jump on a pump fake at the end of a shot clock.
Right.
You gotta just keep your hands up. But yeah, like I said, he was definitely not a disappointment. He was a solid. He had a solid game. He had 9 points, 4 boards, and like 3 assists.
Yeah.
Something like that. So he was pretty solid. So going over to our third and final first round pick from this draft. Josh Hart. We didn't really get to see Josh too much in this game. Only played 13 minutes. That shouldn't happen at all. He should definitely be starting or at least get more minutes than Vanderblue.
Right.
When he was in, he tried a little too hard on offense. I think it was like 0 for 5, 0 for 4 from the 3-point line. And there's some tough shots too. A couple of them. He was solid defensively. I didn't really see him create much for others because Caruso was handling the ball when he was in a lot, or Lonzo. I want to see that a little more today. Have him create, especially with no Ingram. He had a couple of nice finishes at the rim, but besides that, he didn't really give us much to really go over. Just because he didn't play a lot. That's Jeb Bushler's problem there. But do you have anything that you want to say about Josh?
I really hope that he starts so he can handle the ball more and take some pressure off Lonzo, some usage off Lonzo. But yeah, I mean, like the 3-point shot looked good. It didn't look broken or bad or anything. Right. He was a good college shooter. He should be a good shooter in the NBA, so that's promising. He showed some playmaking potential. He had some cutters, which was pretty awesome. But apart from that, his defense was really good. He showed his effort there. He got a little over aggressive and got some fouls. But yeah, I mean, like he just had a pretty good game as far as a guy who only played 15 minutes. I really hope that he plays more because he's a pretty crucial piece of the Lakers bench. So I hope that he gets some real run and that they play him over Vanderblue, who's kind of is what he is right now, and although Hart's the same, what Josh Hart is much better than Vanderblue. So
right. Okay, so moving on to probably the person I was most disappointed in the whole game, Ivica Zubac. He was bad. He was like the worst player. Like Lonzo had a bad game. Zubac was the worst player on the court for the Lakers, and that's also taken into account Travis Ware and Vanderblue. Right. Zubac was far and away the worst player on the court when he was playing. He just looked lost, man. He looked the same. He didn't look like he like lost any weight. He didn't look like he was better conditioning wise. He got dominated by Bryce Johnson. Man, he killed him, Bryce. Bryce had a really good game. I mean, he had 29 points. Yeah. He was really just dominating our most of our bigs. Besides, I think Brian did a good job on him, but Zubac really got toasted by him a couple times. It's really kind of like disappointing. I was really expecting him to come and be like dominant, like seriously, because he looked good in last year's summer league, and he was like a guy that was like making everything last year, and after having a decent season, this last season under his belt and being able to be good enough, I was really expecting him to come out and just put up 15 and 10, drop 20 and 10, something like that. Because Bryce Johnson's not a great defender, and same with like Zizic. Hopefully he does better against Zizic, but it was really just disappointing. Defensively he still has his problems. He's toast on switches and in open space. It's bad sometimes. At least someone like Thomas Bryant was able to contest threes a little bit, but and with him, so he still has the athletic ability upside with Thomas Bryant. And Zubac doesn't have that athletic upside. I mean, you can't really become a good athlete, so that's gonna be tough for Zubac in the future. But with the way Thomas Bryant played, do you see this? Do you see Thomas pushing? Well, first, what do you think about Zubac's game, and then do you see Thomas Bryant pushing Zubac for minutes?
I don't think that he's going to push him immediately just because I think that Thomas is going to spend a lot of his time in the D-League mostly. But I definitely think that Zubac struggled and he didn't live up to the expectations of a secondary guy who played really well in Summer League and had his moments in the regular season, but he didn't really show that this game, which it's not a big deal. It is still Summer League, so it's kind of tough to gauge whether things are like, whether to get excited about things or just calm down on things. But I certainly think that he didn't look all that well. He had a couple moments where he made some good baskets around the rim, which is pretty much what he makes. He didn't make a jump shot, which was surprising.
Did he? I don't think he attempted one.
I think he attempted a couple mid-range shots, and I don't think he made either of them. But yeah, I mean, like he hasn't really improved that much. He did add some sort of muscle or some sort of definition to his arms,
Yeah.
but he didn't. He's not really showed that he improved as far as moving his feet, or that he improved as far as defensive wise or mobility or any kind of those aspects. So I'm kind of like, it's not a huge deal, but I definitely want to see him play better against Zizic, who is not as athletic as Bryce Johnson. So
Right. Yeah. I love Zubats, but I also want to see Thomas Bryant play. So it's kind of a conflict of interest, but at the moment, Thomas is my guy, and I kind of want to see him play. Sorry, Zoo, but I think we can talk a little bit about David Nwaba. He didn't really play much either, which again is disappointing because I feel like he's more of a vet in the NBA than fucking Vanderbilt is. Vanderbilt played 7 games in the NBA. Right. Nwaba played 30. He had a nice dunk on a nice little couple of touch passes from Caruso and Kuzma. He had a dunk there. He had the an almost dunk after that Thomas Bryant block. And then I don't really pay attention much to him defensively because there wasn't he didn't really have a chance to guard Thornwell, which would probably be the best, or Juwan Evans. Really, they put Caruso on Evans. So we didn't really see much from Nwaba this game. Do you have anything? Did you see anything from Nwaba in this game?
Not really. He kind of really didn't play that much as expected, but I think that Nwaba really shouldn't play all that much. They should really just give time to the guys. Since obviously you want Lakers to win the games, but winning the games is super important, and I think that they want to see if Vanderbilt has something to offer to the team. I saw one Lakers beat reporter say that Vanderbilt might make it to the Lakers roster, or that he might get the preseason invite, the captain invite, to see if he can make some noise there. So I definitely think that Lakers are interested in him. And I think they just want to see what Blue has to offer. And even though he has a reputation for being what he is, I think that Lakers probably just want to see if he improves or change something, just to see if they can possibly add another guard. So Lakers do need some guards. So I mean, I don't blame him really. I think Nwaba's on the roster. They know what he is. He's a really good defender. Really good cutter. Has some issues on jump shot. Hopefully, we got to see him actually shoot jump shots.
Yeah,
and play some more. I definitely want to see him play some more, but I don't think it's as pressing. I think they probably just want to see what they have in other players like Caruso.
I can definitely see what you mean. But I think there's a better way to go at it.
Definitely.
Vanderbilt, I definitely think the better way is coming with PJ Dozier, who I really, really hope plays today. I'll be mad if he doesn't. I think the only other guy we can talk about a little bit is Alex Caruso. He was a guy that was interesting coming in. I know Ben Rosales really liked him. I think he had something like a 4% steal percentage, which is really good for steals.
Right.
And he's a good on-ball defender, good passer. He was a good shooter in the D League last year. He wasn't great in the first half. He had some moments where he messed up a lot. But I think the third quarter he showed some really good defense, and he was able to move the ball around. He didn't make a jumper, but I know he has it. He shot 40% in college from the 3-point line. So anything you wanted to add on about Caruso?
I definitely saw him, and I noticed him because he got a lot of playing time. But yeah, I mean, like, he's probably not going to make Lakers roster, so I kind of really I'm not interested. But I think he showed enough to maybe get a possible camp invite if he's playing at the level he's playing right now. He showed some pretty good pick and roll operation, pretty decent on defense. So I mean, like, it's not anything spectacular, but I think that he possibly could earn a camp invite if he keeps playing how he played in this game.
Right. Yeah, I definitely would rather have him on the roster than someone like Rondo.
Right.
But I guess we can talk about free agency. another podcast. Even though, actually, no, we'll talk about something that came up recently at the end. But like we've been kind of mentioning throughout the whole thing, the Lakers play the Celtics today, which the matchup kind of died down a little bit since no Ingram. I really wanted to see Ingram versus Tatum. You have no idea, but sadly he's not playing. So we probably are going to get toasted by Jason Tatum today, and probably Jaylen Brown as well. But what do you have any expectations? Anything you want to see from this game?
I just hope Lonzo shoots better from the 3-point line. I feel that and showing some creation ability would go a long way for me for having some kind of promise and seeing some kind of physical evidence that he has some creation upside or some legitimate creation upside.
Yeah.
Hopefully some more pick and rolls. Hopefully they just run the offense through him to see how he handles that. Hopefully Zubac bounces back. And Thomas Bryant, he played with the same energy that he played. And I think the Lakers can win, although it's against the Celtics, and I think the Celtics are probably the favorite. But I still think the Lakers can pull it off. It's just going to be tougher than expected previously.
Yeah, I definitely hope they. I think the main thing, like what you said about Lonzo, I want to see Josh Hart and Kuzma more with Lonzo. I want to see Dozier play because I think the Lakers are going to need defense this game, and Dozier, after Nwaba, he might be our best on-ball defender on the team. Yeah, that sounds about right. After Nwaba, and then hopefully you can stick Dozier on Tatum or Jaylen Brown for stints. I just want to see if the athleticism is still there, and if he has, because I really want him to make the roster, and I think he has a lot of potential. 6'5", almost 7 foot wingspan, crazy athlete. I mean, it seemed like they really liked him when he was like the first signing they did, like an hour after the draft. But I don't know. Maybe they just really wanted the first game to be with vets with Vanderblue and Travis Ware,
right.
which sounds funny to say because David Nwaba probably played more NBA games than both of them. But yeah. Anything else you want to talk about with this game or the game tonight?
No, I just think that this game's going to be pretty exciting. The crowd's going to be into it. It's going to be pretty competitive. There's going to be two really good summer league teams going against each other. So
yeah,
it should be a really high level game as far as summer league standards go.
The crowd should be pretty crazy today too.
Yeah. And hopefully, Lonzo plays well because that's pretty important after having a really bad game shooting wise that he had against the Clippers. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited to watch Tatum and Brown and see this stacked Celtics team in action.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Okay, I think the only other news that's been circulating around Lakers Nation is the recent Kentavious Caldwell-Pope news. So was it Woj who announced this?
Woj.
The Pistons have renounced Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's rights, and the Lakers and the Nets have been named as two teams who are interested in Kentavious. So I want you to start with first. Would you want the Lakers to sign Kentavious? And if they do, how do you see him fitting with Lonzo?
They definitely should sign him because the Lakers made some good basketball players. And PCP is a good basketball player. He's a good defender and can shoot the crap out of the ball, so that immediately helps. His creation isn't insane, but it's still pretty good. And that's
Jordan Clarkson.
way better than Jordan Clarkson. Yeah. And he's ball moving, pretty good passing too. So I mean, like he brings elements to the Lakers that you need in a backcourt between Lonzo Ball. PCP can guard the better player, and Lonzo Ball can be hidden defensively that way. Lonzo can get PCP the ball in his hands so he can shoot some good three-point shots. So I think that the fit is awesome. It makes so much sense. Hopefully he bites on a 1 year like 27 million.
Yeah, whatever cap we have, I'm throwing money at him.
Yeah, just throw all the money at him just because he's like really good and they just need really good basketball players and He certainly adds to your win total. So if that's what Lakers are going for, that's what they're trying to do to impress free agents next year.
Yeah.
This certainly help.
Right. Yeah. I've been a fan of KCP past couple years. I think he's one of the more underrated players in the NBA, and one of the more underrated defenders in the NBA. There's been games against the Warriors where I've seen him like strap people like Clay and Steph, like lock them down for possessions at a time. I definitely think he has some ball handling ability as well. He's also an underrated athlete. He's had some pretty crazy dunks in his career. He would definitely be a guy I would want next to Lonzo. And also from what Woj said, after the summer league game on ESPN, he said that the Lakers are looking for a young two-way two-guard, and they want to sign him to a 1-year deal for 20 to 22 million, and then clear cap space to sign him to a long-term deal after this year. And also a little conspiracy going into this as well. He's also in the same agency as LeBron,
right?
Which you never know. Maybe that's a contributing factor. With the man Rich Paul, right? Yeah, Rich Paul over at Clutch Sports. I mean, I guess if that's how we're going to approach it right now, that's just how you have to approach it. But yeah, I think KCP is a fine player, and he might end up being our best player on our team if we sign him. To be honest,
yeah, definitely.
Him or Brooke or Julius to be something like that. But I definitely want him in LA. I think he just would help Lonzo out so much. And I mean, there was moments last year when Reggie Jackson didn't play, and KCP had to take on more of a ball handling responsibility, and he looked good doing it. Today, this year was a down year for him 3-point shooting wise. He shot 35%. I think he shot like 38, 39 the year before, but the Pistons were kind of in turmoil the whole year. And he's still really young. He's 24, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's definitely a guy that you would want as a 2 for the future. He's the perfect 3-and-D guy, in my opinion, and he would be great in Los Angeles. So there hasn't been much other movement, free agency. I mean, there's been like Jamal Crawford rumors. There's been Dion Waiters rumors. There's sadly been Rondo rumors. Stuff like that.
No, Rondo. No, stop it.
I'm hoping for the Knicks to sign him. That'd be pretty great. I'm trying to think anything else. There's not really much else going on. I mean, Lakers have literally not done anything in free agency besides let Nick Young walk and then waive Tariq Black. Yeah. Who, on a side note, I'm kind of surprised that no one's picked him up, Tariq.
Yeah.
I think he's going. Whoever picks him up eventually, he's going to be a great backup 5 for a team. And I'm scared. No, they already have enough backup 5s.
Yeah, sadly. Yeah.
They have Looney. They have Damian Jones. They have Bell.
Yeah.
Oh my God! How did the Warriors get better, man? They also got Caspi and Nick Young. Shout out to Clayton.
Shout out to Clayton.
Oh man, that was there's a lot going on in the NBA without non-Lakers stuff too. So it's been fun to watch that go on. I mean, Carmelo might be a Rocket by the end of today. We don't even know that, but
yeah,
if they do, that's gonna be super interesting to say the least. Anything else? I don't think anything else going on.
Yeah, I think that we're gonna recap the Lakers summer league game after the Lakers played the Celtics, and then we'll also recap the Kings game, and then probably just do an overall thing. The Lakers should have signed someone by the end of summer league, so we'll see how that's going.
I mean, crossing my fingers. I hope it's KCP, but yeah. Nelson, do you have anything coming out? I'm working on.
Probably gonna have a film breakdown of Ingram's first game coming out soon, and then probably do a couple more film breakdowns. Probably one on Thomas Bryant if he keeps playing well. He's definitely play. So.
Yep. I am, as always, have nothing.
Lazy fun. I don't know. No.
Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to review us on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter at Lakers Legacy Pod and on at Lakers Pulse.
At Lakers Legacy
Oh man.
Pod. Wow.
Lakers Pulse.
Wow.
Sorry,
Free promo.
I was looking at TweetDeck and they popped up my TweetDeck. I'm sorry.
Free promo.
At Lakers Pulse Pod and at Lakers Pulse. Yeah, I think that's it. So thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you guys after the game. Peace.